did you think?
That was really good. You want me to give specific feedback?
If you'd like, this would be the time before we just jump into you. If you want to go ahead and give some feedback to the 7 people that you directed, you can go ahead and do so.
Sure. Yeah, the actresses in particular stood out a lot. Both of the Fujinos were really strong. They had really good instinct reads. As for the ISAs, similar situation, they really did stand out, but it was less that they had good instinct reads and more that they took very, very good direction. Both of them adjusted very well once I told them what I wanted them to do. For the guys, I did notice that a lot of them had some enunciation trouble. And I mean, that's always going to be hard when you're seeing a script for the first time. But definitely something to work on. The Yukis stand out. The first Yuki was really, really good. He definitely had a very clear vision of what the character was like. And it was a very natural sounding voice. It didn't sound like he was forcing it too much, and it really felt like it fit. The second Yuki, I liked his take with the accent. But it felt like when I told him to back off the cartoonishness a little, he got nervous and stumbled a little bit. Definitely something just to work on, to be able to sort of swerve in and out of the voice without stumbling or getting flustered. But by the time he was a couple scenes in doing the more realistic take, he was back on track.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same thing. They all took direction really good, which is so nice too, because that's a big thing. I mean, that's something that you do so much that at some point, taking direction is not easy. It's not, because then you do get nervous, like you said. What happened to our Garfield, where he had the cartoon and then you told him to lessen, and he got nervous. It's really easy to get nervous because you feel like, oh no, the director doesn't like what I did. What do I do now? So I understand.
Oh, it's totally
Well, thank you so much for directing. Oh yeah, thank you so much for directing and taking the time for that hour. I truly appreciate you, and so does everybody here for doing that for us. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions, because I don't know if you've checked out the open mic night channel, but we got a lot of questions, Marissa, and I only got an hour with you, so I'm gonna try to squeeze in as many as possible. Let me go ahead and start off. So our first person is Quinny, but she is asking a question for @Lucreset. And this person asks, what kind of exercises can I do to expand my vocal range?
Oh, that's a good question. So this is pretty pertinent to me, actually, because I have been training my vocal range quite a bit recently. For those of you who haven't noticed, I have kind of a deep voice, and I often get typecast as deep voice characters, so I've been trying to train my range much higher. And for me, the thing that I've been doing is singing. Challenging yourself to sing, even if you're not a very good singer, but just challenging yourself to sing songs that are out of your range, you're naturally going to tend towards trying to hit those notes. And once you can sing in a voice, it's a lot easier to talk in that voice. So I will practice my super duper high voice while singing. And it's also a less stressful way to try a new voice. If you try a new voice in song, it's a little bit easier on your vocal cords than if you just try to jump into it.
Right.
So definitely singing. Again, even if you don't think you're a very good singer, it doesn't matter. Just do it when you're alone, at home, in your car, or whatever.
Right. That's a good one. Definitely. And then they also had another question, again, @Lucreset asks, how do I get myself noticed in the voice acting community? That's a pretty big question.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm guessing you mean the professional space rather than the online space, because the online space, it's all about just, consistently submitting all the time and looking for opportunities wherever they can be. I often surprise people because I still submit to Casting Call Club and Behind the Voice Actors auditions and stuff. And sometimes people will be like, what are you doing here? And I mean, the answer is, if you're going to, continue to make connections and continue to grow your career, you've got to audition wherever there are auditions. And so just make as many contacts as you have as you can. Follow people on Twitter who are also voice actors. People retweet all the time, like open calls that they're also trying out for. And the nice
Mhm.
thing is, the nice thing about the voice acting community is just that people are so willing to share the things that they're working on. So
Right.
creating a good network of people who, this person will recommend you over here and this person will recommend you over there. Some of my best roles have come from recommendations. That's super important. As far as professional space, make a demo reel, have a personal website, keep all your social media up to date, constantly be posting on brand things on your social media. So if you go to my social media, you'll notice that, yeah, I post silly things, but I also post video clips of things that I've worked on recently, new demo reels. I'm constantly posting about, new shows that I'm in that are coming out, and a lot of self promotion. And then, of course, once you have that professional demo reel, you want to send it to everybody, studios, directors. Obviously, cold calling can be a little bit scary, and there are some times when it's not appropriate, but most studios will have a official submission form or an official way to do submissions. Or, it may say you got to have an agent first. So, of course, having an agent helps. This is
Mhm.
such a broad, general question. I feel like I'm saying a lot of things.
No, I
But
think you answered it really well. Yeah.
yeah, the answer is hustle. I mean, the answer is really just hustle. And that's true for the online space and the professional space. Getting noticed is really hard because not everyone wants to be discovering new talent. But that one person that is willing to, quote unquote, discover you and is willing to give you that shot might be your path towards almost everything else. They might recommend you to studios, they might be the one to get you in with companies that you've never worked with before. They might have recommendations for you for how to grow your business. Just, you know, voice acting is very interpersonal. You can't go at it
Mhm.
alone. So keep your social media up to date, keep your website up to date, make sure people can find you and can find what you've done and what you're working on. And then go out there and make friends. I mean, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like voice acting in general is a lot of interconnecting, a lot of networking, a lot of just marketing yourself and other people too. I've seen it go both ways. I've seen people who market each other and they both help. I've gotten gigs from people who market me, and people have gotten gigs from people from me marketing them. So yeah, it's all about socializing, I guess. That too. So we next our next question is from in Rosario. I call her Rez. She asks, "Have you ever felt nervous asking someone to stop and redo a line?"
Absolutely. Uh, so now that I'm directing a lot of anime, and I mean, Death Battle is getting to this point too, I'm starting to work with higher and higher profile actors. And even though I've been in the business for about 5 years now, some of these people have been in for 10 or 15 or 20 years.
Right.
Um, I've worked with, on Death Battle, we had Bryce Pappenbrook on, and I was nervous being like, hey, can you do that one more time? I know that you've done a lot of stuff, but. Or I just finished directing an audio play with J. Michael Tatum in it. And, everything he does is gold, but sometimes there's something really specific you need. And yeah, it could be nervous to pipe up, but, ultimately, when you're the director, it's your job to not be nervous because you're the one who has to steer the ship. And if you're too nervous to ask for an actor to do anything, um, they're not going to be giving their best performance. I mean,
Yeah.
possibly they will. Some people are just savants. They're going to come in and give you a really good read the first time. But if
Yeah.
they don't have the right context, if they don't fully understand the story the way that you do, you're doing them a disservice by not speaking up and not giving them direction. So, I mean, absolutely, I've been nervous, but, it's important as a director, especially if any of you want to become directors, to really get out of your head on that kind of thing. An actor is an actor is an actor, no matter how famous they are.
Nice. That's a good one. I'm gonna remember that one. And she also we have a lot of questions on questions, so we're going through them. So Rez also asked, "How long can a typical recording session for an episode take?"
It depends. Are you the main character or a supporting character? Um,
How about
For
both?
yeah, so for anime, um, the shortest session you can possibly have is 15 minutes to a half hour. And that would be if you are a small supporting role and your character maybe has, a half hour would be less than, like 15 to 20 cues. Um, but if you are a main character, it could take 5 to 9 hours to do an episode. Yeah, especially if it's a type of show where there's a lot of talking. Obviously, a shonen protagonist who's constantly making friendship speeches is going to have more lines than, say, a slice of life where the main character, maybe is less chatty. I'm working on a show right now where I'm actually writing it. I do a little bit of ADR writing as well, and it is wall-to-wall talking. The characters never shut up. There is never silence. Ever, ever, ever. And so those actors are probably going to have way more hours, even if they're only in supporting roles. Whereas there's another show that I'm working on where I write, and there's huge stretches of silence. The characters do a lot of walking and just sort of looking around at stuff. And there's like little reactions, but there's not a lot of lines. So even the main character for that may only have like 3 to 4 hours of recording per episode. So it really depends, but generally you're not looking at more than 10 hours for a main character for just one episode.
I see. Yeah, definitely. And I do see it that some animes or just cartoons in general are more visual than auditory. So I can see where that's coming from. Yeah. And then her last question is, what has been your favorite moment during your career?
My favorite moment during my career. I mean, I could talk about, getting cast in roles, but I get the feeling that we're going to be probably getting questions about favorite roles and like memories and stuff like that. So let me do something a little bit different. There's a character that I play in a show called In Another World with My Smartphone. The character's name is Kohaku. She's a tiger. And she starts as like a big hulking tiger, but then she turns into, a little cute tiger. So she's adorable. She's got all these cute little scenes, and she's really cute. And when I was at a convention, I was selling at a table. I have autograph cards that I sell, so I had them all laid out. And this woman came up. She was in a wheelchair, and she was looking over my stuff. And, I have my most popular characters as autograph cards. And she was like, "Oh, it's too bad you don't have a Kohaku autograph card." And I was like, "Oh, you're a smartphone fan." Like, I hadn't made one yet because I didn't know how big smartphone would be. And now I do have a Kohaku autograph card.
Right.
But she was like, "Oh, yeah." She explained, she has some sort of illness where she can't get out of her wheelchair. And she spends a lot of time at home um, watching TV. And she was like, "I specifically like to watch Black Butler and just your scenes from smartphone."
Oh,
And I was like, "That's so adorable." I was like, "That can't be true." That seems so like specific that she would, run into me at this convention because she didn't know I was going to be there. But then her husband came up and like he had been looking at some other table, and he kind of looks at, I have a little sign that has all my characters on it, and he goes, "Oh, you found the voice of Kohaku, huh?" And he looks at me and he goes, "She loves your scenes in smartphone."
oh, that's so awesome. I feel like
Yeah.
that's such a like feel good moment where you're like, yes,
Exactly.
I did
It was just such a nice little moment, and she bought an autograph card of one of my other characters, but I drew Kohaku on it for her. And she was just so sweet, and she was also kind of a tiger mom. She was like, "You need to go to more conventions. You just tell me where you want to go. I'll tell them. They gotta have you there." So she was really, really great.
Oh, Marissa, I hope that you continue to have moments like that. Really.
Me too.
That's so awesome. So let's go on to our next question. And this is also a 3B, but then after that, it looks like we're having just like single questions, so it's not going to be too packed. So the Jedi Exile, which you actually directed her, she asks, as a director, when you are listening to demos, do you like demos with music and sound effects, or do you prefer them without?
Definitely music and sound effects. I hate dry demos. Dry demos just feel awkward. It feels weird when it's just voice. In fact, if I open up a demo and it's dry, I don't listen to the whole thing. You will want to get your demo professionally produced with someone who can put good music and sound effects in the background. And, keyword is good. Because the only thing that turns you off more than a dry demo is a demo with the same background music, same royalty-free background music that I've heard a million times before. Or like overly cartoony sound effects that overpower the voice or anything like that. Obviously, bottom line, get your demo produced by someone professional, or if you're still in your sort of online indie space and you're doing it for yourself, listen to professional demos and model your demo after that. And you'll notice that most professional voice actors do have music and sound effects in the background.
Yes, definitely. Actually, speaking of demos, your demo is awesome. I was listening to it, I was like, oh my god, that's Marissa!
Thanks.
It's really cool. If anybody wants to listen, Marissa, what's your email real quick? Your website so that they can hear it too.
It's www.marissalenti.com.
Oh, nice. All right then. I will also, just so everybody knows, if you're on our Discord, it is under our announcements, and if you're on Twitter or have Twitter, you can find Marissa Lenti at Lenti Soup. Correct?
Yes.
There you go. All right,
that demo is Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to say that.
No, go.
That demo is actually brand new. I had it done by my good friend Amberly Connors over at Sound Cadence Studios, where I work. I needed a new demo, and so I got it produced at my own studio. And Amber is fantastic. She always makes amazing demos. So that is sort of her brainchild as well as mine.
Nice. So for anybody looking for some
Marissa
demos,
Lenti, if you made a
and see if they can help you out. Let's go on to our other question from the Jedi Exile. She asks, what is one of the most challenging things about dubbing an anime?
Definitely hitting lip flaps. For those of you who don't really know what the dubbing process is like, it's something called ADR, or Automated Dialogue Replacement. It's where you listen to the original language track and then you go ahead and lay down your language, whatever language that may be, in my case, English. And obviously, the animation is already done, so the characters already have mouth movements that are in there. So you have to watch the mouth movement while you're listening to the original language track, and for me, it's usually Japanese, but I have dubbed some Filipino and Chinese movies in the past. So you listen to the original language, whatever it may be, and you have to watch the mouth flaps, and then you have to make the script that they've given you fit into it. And generally, you're only seeing the mouth flaps one time before you then attempt to make it fit. And in fact, for Aria the animation, I don't even get to see it one time. We just go for the cue, and I have to guess, based on how the script is formatted, how I think it's going to land in the flaps. And that's rough. But, it's a skill that usually most dubbing actors have mastered by the time they've done maybe into the double digits of shows. It's just, it's like riding a bike, I guess. You can't get good at it without trying, and then once you're good at it, you generally don't forget.
Right. Nice. Okay, cool. And usually when you're doing dubbing, I did a dubbing once, and it was just training. I went to this person's studio, and we were seeing if I could do the dub. I remember I had to do it again and again and again, and so you get the lips to match and
Just
everything.
right.
So yeah, it's a hard one. It's a tough scene. At the end, you're sweating, oh my god. But yeah, let's go on to our last question from Jedi. She asked, "What is your favorite character that you've voiced?"
My favorite character is Momoko Hyakushiki from Nanbaka. Nanbaka is my favorite show that I've worked on, and Momoko is just so much fun because she has two voices. She is the warden of this prison, and of course she has a real voice that you only ever hear in her head. Well, she says it out loud sometimes, but for the most part in her head. And then she has a fake voice that she puts on in front of all of the people working at her prison. So her fake voice is very deep and very cool and very, you know, tough because she's a prison warden, working at an all-male prison, by the way. And in her head, she's secretly just like a lovesick little girl for this one guard who works at her prison. And so in her head, she's, oh, he's so dreamy. She's real cute. I love her. And the show's a comedy, so everything is just jokes, 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 jokes. So I had such a blast voicing her, and it's been like 2 years since this point, and she's still my favorite.
Oh, well, everybody, you guys got to watch that show because it's full of jokes. I'm going to watch it too. I'm going to watch it too. Oh, she also says, P.S. I love Ruby. So,
woo!
Or WBY. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go into our next question from Chris Blue. And he asks, what is your favorite thing to direct? So I guess by thing, what's your favorite theme or
so I just I've just started directing more and more anime, and anime is quickly becoming my favorite thing to direct. I've also directed video games, and obviously I direct Death Battle, and that's like, you know, prelay animation, and those are fun too. But directing anime is so cool because I like dubbing to picture, even though it does constrict actors a little bit. It's also just so cool to see it come together instantly, essentially. You know, as soon as the line fits, it's done and you can see it, and it's just very exhilarating. And some of my recent projects have really stood out as being a lot of fun. I just directed This Boy is a Professional Wizard and This Boy Suffers from Crystallization, which are boys' love titles. And I love some boys' love titles. And having
me too.
Yeah, and having the actors in to do it is fun because I always say this, like, you know, girls have to voice a lot of ecchi titles where there's boobs bouncing all over the place and panty shots and all that kind of stuff. There's really no equivalent for guys, and boys' love doesn't even get there as far as awkwardness is concerned, but it can edge sort of close. So getting the guys in the booth and being like, all right, here we go, it's just a lot of fun. And then another dub that I did recently that was really, really fun was Beat X. I was the project lead and the assistant director for that. So I directed a lot of the back half of the show. And that show is from 1996, but the dub was done last year. And we intentionally went for that 90s style. And a lot of the actors that I cast, I specifically cast because their voices sounded like they would be in a 90s dub. So we created this 90s dub intentionally in 2017.
OMG.
So that was a ton of fun too.
Every time I think about 90s, honestly, Sailor Moon always comes out for me in the 90s. And just thinking about that now, wow, and what's that show called again, so everybody can know?
It's called Beat X. It's not spelt the way that you think it is. It's B''T space X.
Space X. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I put that out there for everybody to see so that they can go check it out.
Yeah, the show is...
You want to hear 90s.
Yeah, the show is available now, and the trailer is on Sound Cadence's site, and it's something special. A lot of the cast was sourced from the Yu Yu Hakusho and Case Closed casts, because I specifically wanted to get that 90s style. So the lead is Eric Vale, and he's doing this super 90s shonen protagonist thing with like the really over-the-top reactions, and it's great. Recommendable.
Awesome. Well, you guys, I posted it on our Discord. After this on Twitter, I will post it as well. Actually, while Marissa is answering the next question, that's from Quinny. I'm gonna post it real quick on Twitter so you guys can check it out. Quinny asks, "What do you?" Seems like that. Okay. What do you not enjoy about directing? Let's go there. And what's the hardest part?
What do I not enjoy about directing?
And what would be your hardest part of directing?
It's hard to say what the worst part is. I really like directing. I guess The worst part of directing, okay, here's something. The worst part of directing is having to explain to people why they didn't get cast. Um, as the director, you have a lot of power, and it's kind of the best part of being the director. You get to decide, who's in the show, and you get to decide how everything is done and what the style is, and it's really, really exciting to have a project be your baby. But you gotta keep in mind that there were probably a lot of actors that wanted to be in your show and couldn't be. And usually it's not because they're bad. If you sent them the audition, you probably think they're good. It's just that there's not enough roles for everybody, and sometimes someone's voice just doesn't fit a role no matter how hard they try to change their voice. There are some natural intonations to everyone's voice that make some more appropriate for some roles and some more appropriate for others. And as a director who is also friends with a lot of actors, because I'm an actor too, I have a lot of actors ask me after the fact, why didn't I get that role? And it sucks. That's probably the worst part, is having to look a friend in the eye and, be like,
right,
here's why. But generally, I don't really have a reason why. I'm like, I don't have a reason. It just didn't feel right. And actors are never content with that answer. People want the role that they want, and I get it. I am the exact same way. I just recently, went through a big casting process where I was really, really excited and I didn't get it. And it sucks, but it's gonna happen. And as the director, you do take on a burden of not wanting everyone to be upset, but you gotta. So it's one of the harder parts of directing, but it's something you gotta do, is just, standing firm by your decisions. And obviously, if you make good decisions and you make informed decisions and decisions you really stand by, it's easier to defend them.
Right.
But yeah, probably that.
Yeah, and everybody listening as well, everybody gets rejected or just doesn't get a role. It happens. There's no way around it. No, not everyone can get a role, but not everybody can continuously have a role. It changes, right? Yeah. So let's go on to our next one. We are at Matt. Matt Raftis VA asks. Actually, he was I believe he was Yuki in the first round. He asked, what type of type casting would you suggest I produce demo reels for? Okay.
Oh. Well, when you're producing a demo reel, I always have this as my sort of go-to. You start off with your natural voice. So whatever, if people hear your voice and they say, oh, you'd be perfect for blank, that should be your first thing. Your natural, not changed voice. Then immediately following your natural voice should be the role you book all the freaking time. So for me, I think like the second or third thing on my demo is that really low voice that I do all the freaking time.
Yeah.
I do that voice constantly, so it's really high up on my demo. Then third on your demo, or maybe fourth if you have like two really good voices at the top, is something you wish you were booking all the time. Obviously, your demo producer, if they're really good and they're really honest with you, should tell you if the voice that you want to book is just not in your wheelhouse. If you're forcing it too hard, it doesn't sound right. But if there's a role that you know you're really good at and you never book it, that's about the spot where it should go on your demo. And then everything else should just be variety. So if all of the voices at the front of your demo are, deep hulking voices, then obviously towards the middle and then the end, you're going to want to throw in, can you do anything else? Any other pitches? Any other intonations? Any other timbres? Like, get that in there. And then, of course, there are like your mainstays, depending on what kind of demo it is. If it's an anime demo, you probably want a protagonist and a big laughy villain. But if it's a video game demo, you're going to want a military guy. Mainstays of the demo, For girls, if it's an anime demo, if you can do a boy voice, it should probably be on there because that's something girl voice actors book all the time. If you can do the high squeaky anime girl, yeah, she should probably be on there. If you can do moms, there are a lot of moms in anime. Anything that you see in anime all the time should be on there. And then again, if it's a video game demo, what mainstays are there in video games for girls? Sexy lady? Maybe a military lady? think about the things that you consume, the games that you play and the anime that you watch, and say, well, what roles need to be filled? And then put those roles on your demo. The worst thing that you can put on your demo is a completely useless, uncastable voice. If it's something that is never in anime and you usually only see in Western cartoons, it doesn't belong on your anime demo. If it's super, super anime and it's going on your video game demo, it probably doesn't belong there either, because even if it's an anime-style game, they'll probably just want your anime demo, not your video game demo. So yeah, that.
That. Good. That is good, because you have to be able to put in your demo, all types of voices that you can do that are strong,
Yes.
You don't want to put something that you're not really good at, and then they cast you for that, and you're like,
Oh, no.
that's not gonna go well. Yeah, that's not gonna go well. So let's go on to Nathan. Nathan Hunt, the Happy Color, asks, do you cast non-local voice actors who work via remote? And if so, what are the barriers you encounter working with such actors?
Well, it really depends on the project. A lower budget project will have more leeway to have remote actors in it. So, for example, Death Battle is really cool, and most actors are really jazzed when they get cast in it, but it is a lower, more indie project. So for that, we can have remote actors in it. And the biggest hurdle for those kind of actors is mic quality. If you're remote, you're going to have to record at home. Generally, these lower budget projects can't afford to send you to a local studio that has really good quality equipment. So your home equipment has to be really, really good. Right now, I'm actually standing in my home booth. It is half of my closet has had all the clothes shoved to the other side, and I put up insulation foam, and I put up a tarp that separates it from the other half of the closet, and that's my home studio. And
oh my gosh, so we have the same studio.
Yeah. So it's not an expensive whisper room or anything, but what I produce out of here is actually considered broadcast quality. I have had commercial spots go to broadcast that were recorded right here. So it doesn't need to be super fancy as long as it sounds good. So yeah, having a good mic is the biggest hurdle, because we have had actors that we're really good friends with and we'd love to cast them and stuff, but their mics are terrible. The other thing is ability to travel. So if the project's a little bit higher budget, but not on a super fast timeline, we can afford to have remote actors who are willing to fly in. Because there's enough time. Obviously for Funimation simuldubs, you gotta be local because every week you're in to do an episode. But for something like Beat X, we actually had quite a few remote actors in it because we had several months to do the whole show front to back. And in that situation, you need to be reliable. We have to know that you're actually going to show up on the day that you say you're going to fly in. You have to be willing to pay for yourself, which is a little bit hard, especially if the show is not recouping your cost on that. So save your money. And you have to be easy to communicate with online. You got to be really fast on your emails so that the person doesn't get nervous about you showing up. And it works for some people. In Beat X, there's an actor named Gianni Matrigrano. He's never done anime before, but I just knew I wanted him in this show because I've had him in Death Battle 4 times. So I know he's a great actor. And he flew in from Florida for it. And again, I know that he's reliable. I know he's a good actor. I knew he was going to show up when he said he would. So cultivating that relationship with the studio or director so that they trust you to show up will really help you in getting auditions for things that will require you to travel, because I've been trying to get in with certain studios and they're like, well, but we don't know you, we don't know that you'll actually show up, and that's super fair. It's just going to take time, to convince a studio that you will show up. And some studios don't want to hear it at all. They don't want remote actors. They don't want people flying in. They want you to be local.
It's easier, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is an easier way.
But for Aria the Animation, I fly to New York every time we do a season. So I flew in for season 1, I flew in for season 2, and I'm gonna be going back for season 3.
And usually, how does that work when you fly in? Do you just book a hotel and stay there until you finish the episode, or you do it day in and day out, you're gone back home?
Well, that would be impossible because my character's actually pretty big in that show. So we did 26 episodes this last time, and it took me 3 days. Okay. So obviously I'd have to stay for a while. But lucky for me, my family lives in New York, so I actually stay with my parents.
So it works out. It works out.
But when I fly to LA, I do either have to book a hotel or find a friend to stay with, which is what I did last time. I flew there for Torment, Tides of Numenera, which is a video game I did, and I stayed with a buddy of mine from college. So, again, having friends, very useful.
Friends are fun, and they help out. Yes, definitely. They are useful, yeah. Actually, I've been posting it on Twitter, too. For people who are going to VoiceOver Atlanta, the workshop, I buddied up with my friend Sarah, and we're going. And we got, now we went halvesies, so we didn't have to pay like $400 for the hotel. We only had to pay $200. So yeah, it works out. Have friends. They're good. Let's go. They're worth it. Let's go on to Anthony. So Anthony, as you already know, Marissa is their wonderful streamer who is like here, sneaky in the background. He asked a few questions. His first question is, for a studio session, how early is too early to show up?
Ooh, more than a half hour before your session.
Ah, okay.
Generally, if you show up a half hour before your session, you are diligent and you can chill in the lobby and everyone's cool. Especially if you have paperwork that you have to do, a half hour is pretty nice because then they know that you have time to sit down and do your paperwork. 15 minutes would be the bare minimum, I would say. You should be at least 15 minutes early. But if you start getting into 45 minutes, an hour, that comes off a little bit creepy. But listen, when you go to a studio for the first time, you don't know how bad traffic's gonna be. You don't know how far away it is. Sit in your car. Use that time to warm up. Just don't walk inside until a half hour beforehand.
Definitely. And it's also true, like, you get so many jitters when you walk into a studio. So I feel like getting there 30 minutes early gives you time to like do the paperwork, your hands, like a little bit wobbly, you're like studio, it's understandable. I think 30 minutes is a good time too, yeah. And then his second question is, what type of preparation do you do before the actor enters the booth?
Oh, to me as the director.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I gotta make sure that I've got the script, and I've got to make sure that I've got, usually I have a spreadsheet that tells me, for anime at least, which episodes a particular character shows up in, so I'm not just like searching through all the episodes for that particular actor. So I'll have a spreadsheet in front of me that says like, okay, we're starting in episode 1, then we skip to 3, then we've got 4, 5, and then nothing until 10, so that way the session can move quickly and can be expedient. Also have to make sure that the air conditioning is on and the booth is open. This is something you don't really think about. But once the actor gets in, there's going to be no airflow. So you got to make sure that before the actor gets in, the booth door is open and the AC's blasting. And in fact, it gets so cold at Sound Cadence that I have a blanket over the back of my chair and I constantly have it wrapped around my shoulders because it gets freezing in there. But it's Texas, so if you didn't have the air on at all, it would be a hot box in like 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Something you don't really think about, environmental conditions.
Think about the weather, guys, and yeah, that's definitely. So I guess go comfortable if you're voicing in a studio because
don't dress up.
You might start sweating.
Yeah, don't dress up for a studio session. No, don't go in heels. Don't go in a suit. Obviously the first time you work with a director, you want to dress kind of nice. So maybe ladies might wear a skirt or a dress, or maybe gentlemen might wear a button down. But generally speaking, once you're comfortable with a director and you've worked with them a couple times, there is no dress code. I mean, don't come in your PJs, but like a t-shirt and jeans is fine. And I do almost all my voice acting in a tank top and jeans.
Yeah.
because it's just the most breathable thing, and it's fine. Voice acting is not a formal job.
Which is great. It's great. It's great to know that it's not like a formal job, because it gets annoying having to wear nice pants and a nice shirt or a nice dress on a 9 to 5. So let's go on to our next question real quick, because we're seeping through. It's almost time. It's almost the end. So Tom asks a really just a okay question. Yeah, let's ask. What's your favorite video game?
Psychonauts.
Okay, all right.
Psychonauts.
Let's see. Let me see here. Oh, here. I'm trying to look for people who haven't had any questions read. So I know there's a lot of you that asked a lot of questions, but I just want to get through to some people who haven't asked yet. Garfield asks, what character would you really want to voice? Like a cartoon character that was before your time? Or, but if you could somehow, play it, which one would you choose? Or maybe a male voice that you couldn't voice, but you wish you could? That was a really big question.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like saying characters that I wish I could play that have already been played before, but I can give kind of a more general answer. My dream role, my dream role that I really want to play is a Digimon. I don't care which one.
Oh my god, yes.
I don't care which one. I just want to be a Digimon. It could be one that's like a different, like one that's been voiced before, but like a different member of the same species. But my ideal, if I'm really getting to be choosy, is one that's never had a voice before. That would be my dream role.
What about Pokemon? Are you just a Digimon girl? Is that it?
I mean, Pokemon are cool too. And listen, if I could be a Pokemon, I wouldn't say no. And I mean, obviously more people would care if I announced that I was a Pokemon. But I'm just a big Digimon fan. I was recently in Japan, and I actually met someone who worked on Digimon, and I was talking to them about, oh my gosh, Digimon, and they were like, wow, you know a lot about this show. And I'm like, yeah. We were in Odaiba, which is where Digimon Adventure 01 takes place. So I was like, yeah, and over there is where my Otismon, and over there is where, Greymon fought Parrotmon, and over there's where Togemon. And they were like, oh my god. And I was like, listen.
That's so cool.
I really like Digimon.
Awesome. I hope you had a great time in Japan, by the way. That's awesome that you went all the way over there. How was the flight?
Long.
Yeah,
I finished an entire Danganronpa in that flight.
That's good. We actually have a lot of jokes on about Danganronpa and
Danganronpa.
Minecraft. Yeah, there's a lot of jokes on this. Let's go on to our next question real quick. Time's ticking. So Robert IRJ asks, I hear from a lot of professional VAs that you should definitely apply acting experience under your belt before diving into VO, either online or pro. Is it definitely okay for you to start online as a hobby, whether you have little or no experience in acting, or should you take classes beforehand?
Take classes before you become a hobbyist online? Is that the question?
I think he's asking, should you take classes and then start voice acting, or should and like have workshop experience and stuff, or can you just dive in?
Dude, if it's just online, you can just dive in. If it's online, this is like the best place to get all your experience. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of a background in this, but almost all of my friends were in the amateur fan dubbing community before they went pro, and not all of them necessarily had any acting experience before then. Definitely do take acting classes before you try to go pro. That is a for sure. If you try to go pro without any acting classes, even if you're top of the top in the online community, you're going to find really quickly that you are miles behind your peers, even the ones who are just out of theater class. It's just a different skill set, and it's a skill set you really should have. not every professional voice actor necessarily has it, but the amount of people who have done theater versus the ones who haven't, it's a very small percentage. Everyone likes to talk about Steve Bloom. He didn't have any acting experience before he started. And it's like, yeah, but like, that's one guy, you know?
That's one guy out of like
thousands,
50,000, you know, yeah.
Thousands of voice actors. So yeah, if you're just doing it for a hobby, if you're just doing online stuff, even if it's paid online stuff and you consider yourself online pro, which I do believe is a thing, you don't necessarily need acting classes. But once you are ready to go pro, like I've got an agent kind of pro, go get acting classes, take workshops, and once you are pro, keep taking workshops. I'm actually taking a workshop next month.
Actually, that's
Richard
what
Horvitz.
I was gonna say now. Yeah, I was gonna say that now. All of you know, my good buddies who are really up there in the ranks, like they tell me, Yenni, never stop learning. Like never stop going to workshops, taking courses, because there's always something that you can, you know, progress in. There's always something that you can learn.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
I take workshops all the freaking time. I'm kind of a workshop connoisseur. Yeah, if you go to my website, I've taken like in the, you know, over the double digits of workshops, and
nice.
It's good. It just, you know, even if you walk out of a workshop feeling like you didn't learn anything new necessarily, it's still just a time to practice, you know, a time to get in there and work on scripts and workshop with other people and get feedback on your voice and feedback on your performances. But you may also learn something. And I find that every single teacher that I've had has taught me at least one thing. And some of them have taught me things that have been pivotal in my career. For example, Everett Oliver, who is also running a workshop in DFW in the next couple months. You should check it out. He taught me the trick that allows me to do my super high voices. I couldn't do high voices before he taught me this trick. And it's to squeeze your vocal folds together so that less air is passing through them, which seems like a no-brainer. But I didn't think of it until he was like, hey, try this. And suddenly my range was doubled.
Was ridiculous.
Yeah, and so like Momoko, Kohaku, Nishikaze in The Silver Guardian, I wouldn't have been able to, Choco in Rio Rainbow Gate, I wouldn't have been able to do those roles without that trick. And that just goes to show how important it is.
Oh, definitely.
To take workshops and take what they teach you and put it into your tool belt.
Definitely, and if anybody wants to check out the type of workshops that Marissa has done, as she said before, go on her website and see some of the workshops that she's done. You can also be on her Twitter, and in Twitter in general, there's a lot of people who post workshops and, you know, like little classes that they've taken that help them go away and like go the distance in a sense. Last question, Marissa. Last question, and it is from John, who is here, and I'm gonna say it. He says, how do you handle conflicting ideas between what you want and what your client wants? And that's a good question to end on, I think.
The client's always right.
There you go. That was a quick one.
That's it. I mean, listen, you can walk into the studio thinking, oh man, I got this great voice in my head and it's gonna go like this, this, and this, and I've studied the character and they would really feel like this, and when this happens, I'm gonna do whatever. But they're paying you. Yeah. So if they, you know, want you to do it in a particular way, you do it. And I see in the chat that he's saying that he
meant I'm saying. I'm like, I'm gonna tell right now.
So the client, as in the person paying you to make the dub, same thing. The client is always right. They're paying you, so you do what they say, even if it sucks. And it can suck, you know. You might be like, oh man, listen, I got my cast together and it's perfect. You're gonna flip out. It's so amazing. And they're gonna be like, I don't like this person. Don't cast them.
Oh my gosh.
And you can't cast them. Like, it doesn't matter what their reason is. It's their project. They're paying for it. It belongs to them. Listen to what the client says. Even if it breaks your heart. But as the director, you can sort of, you know, try and pave it over as best as you can. And that's also kind of your job, is mediating when the client makes bad decisions and being like, okay, this is a weird choice, but you know what? Me and this actor, we're gonna get in the ditches and we're gonna work it out. So I'm gonna overbook this actor by an hour or two so that I have extra time with them. Or you
Right.
may say like, oh, yeah, they want me to switch these two actors around, which is weird, but oh, I will, sort of, I'll direct them towards what the other one was doing in their audition without playing the other person's audition for them, because that's weird. But I'll direct them.
Yeah.
I'll direct them towards the performance that the other actor was giving in the audition that I liked, and maybe both of them will be able to find a happy middle ground. Finding a happy medium is important, but in the end, the client is always right. Whether you're the actor, or the ADR engineer, or the director, or the writer, or the time coder, or the mixer, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. The client is right.
Nice. Nah, it's true. If they pay you, you gotta listen to them.
That's
So
true.
definitely, really quick, Marissa, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for answering my email, which was like craziness, and then getting with me, and then me like hiding. Everybody listening, I hope you know our mic test was me hiding in a conference room at my job and being like, "Hey, Marissa, can you hear me?" And it was like the funniest thing. So thank you so much for just taking the time to be here on Center Stage. Honestly, we broke records with you. We have so many people who are listening on the waiting room. We had more a few minutes ago, and now they're leaving because show's over. But everybody on Twitch has been listening too. On Twitter, everybody was so nice, retweeting and liking them. I mean, honestly, it has been such a blessing to have you here to give us all of your expertise, to direct a few of these lucky members that were here. Thank you so much. Center Stage team is so appreciative to have you here, really.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And as I said before, to everybody listening, you can check out in the announcements section to have Marissa's Twitter, to have Marissa's I keep saying email, website, and and you can also check out Sound Cadence on Twitter as well, which will post the Twitter thing too. And Marissa, if you want, take the last few minutes of your of this time to just say goodbye, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. Well, thank you guys again for having me, and thank all of you guys in the chat for listening. Let's see. Hey, things you can hear me in this season. I'm voicing Marika Kushitori in Chio's School Road for Funimation, and I'm also voicing Celestine Baudelaire for How Not to Summon a Demon Lord for Funimation. So if you watch either of those shows week to week, they're being simuldubbed. You can hear me in those. And just today, the trailer was posted for This Boy is a Professional Wizard. It is the first dub I got to do all by myself. So I directed it. I cast it. It was really my baby. So if you go to my Twitter and you see that trailer, give it a watch, give it a like, give it a retweet if you feel so inclined. It would really mean a lot to me. It is a huge project for me, and I'm really, really proud of the way it came out, especially the trailer. So that's where you can hear me, and my social medias, you can find me. It's just my name, like all over the place. I've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. That's it, I guess. Thank you guys again for having me.
All right, Marissa. No, thank you for being here. Awesome, everybody. As you heard Marissa say, as you hear me say, have a wonderful night. Thank you all for who participated. Thank you all for who stayed in the waiting room. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a wonderful way to end Wednesday. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.